So in this segment, we're going to be discussing the UK looking at 6.5% in interest rates by March of next year. And what that tells you is that inflation is not going to come down over up until March, really, because the Bank of England keeps putting up interest rates in response to inflation, which is not working. As we've seen Eurozone inflation come down, their interest rates might also come down. It depends on what the ECB and Christine Lagarde wants to do, and I think she's still in charge of it. It's funny, having a competent person in charge of your central bank can work wonders for you, because we don't have no competent leader, that's for sure. So I'm going to play this clip from Bloomberg. We've got a couple other things to go through.
Does the Fed get to 6? Does the Bank of England get to 7?
That's really tough, right? Because you had earlier data out of the UK today showing that the housing data came in at, 38 something, which is quite shocking.
Not sure what the hell 38 something is really not the best analysis.
Housing activity in particular, that's the PMIs in the final print. That's quite important. You've got the housing market really feeling that heat of those interest rates, mortgage rates really soaring, people renegotiating now from those near zero terms. And look, I'm gonna do a mea culpa here. It's definitely central bank's fault. We've maintained, very accommodative monetary policy from the financial crisis onwards, and right now we're raising rates aggressively, massively, quite at a steep rate, and we're expecting the economy to maintain itself.
So, it's kind of a subtle dig at Mark Carney there, because Mark Carney was the long-term central banker, and I don't know if raising the interest rates kind of pre-COVID, if that made sense. I'm sure there's people in the comments who have a lot more kind of economic knowledge than I do on this, but it very much looks like it's the case that interest rates are not coming down. And I don't know if the Bloomberg people have the same sources as the FT people, probably similar people in there, but the market, so the investors are thinking the interest rate is going to go up. So investors are betting UK interest rates will climb to 6.5% by March of next year, the highest level since 1998, in a move that will heap more pain on mortgage borrowers. And this will further, I think, potentially bring the house prices down, because as interest rates go up, there's less affordability of mortgages, lending will go down. And so what that means is that there's less buyers. So, naturally, hopefully the market cools off a bit if you're interested in buying a house. But you can see here, according to an economist at RBC Capital Markets, he says, quote, "There's a self-feeding dynamic here, ellipses, but it's not a panic yet," end quote. And I'd be panicking. I'd so be panicking right now, because the interest rates are not coming down in the UK, because inflation is not coming down. We're seeing I think inflation coming down in America. We're seeing definitely inflation coming down in the Eurozone. And the question is, with the Eurozone, why is it that they're dealing better? They're dealing with inflation better than we are. We're talking about inflation continuously staying high in the UK, and we know what the answers are to that. We know it's Brexit. We know it's bad Tory policy. It's the gas and energy bills. And we go on to talk about this, which is mortgage payments will rise by at least £500 a month for nearly 1 million households by the end of 26, and this is because people's fixed interest rates will end, and what will happen is you will go from, say, 0.5 to 1%, what you could have had kind of before the interest rate rises, to I think around 6 and 7%, depending on what the Bank of England base rate is, and depending on what you're being offered by the bank. Expectations that borrowing costs might rise even further have pushed mortgage rates on, and banks are very nervous about this situation, and what they don't want to do is offer you an interest rate that's too good, i.e. the interest rate goes up, but they've offered you a rate that's lower than the base rate. And banks are making silly amounts of money right now because they're charging ridiculous amounts via mortgages, but they're not passing those on by savings. So the banks are absolutely killing people right now, let's be honest. They're not encouraging saving at all. But more importantly, this will kill people on rents as well. This will absolutely destroy renters, because landlords are going to be looking to sell up, or they're just going to increase the more. We've seen them, they're increasing people's rents for no reason. Some of these properties are freehold, but they'll say because the market says this, or because the person running their kind of housing, the estate agents or whatever, saying, look, you can make an extra £300-400 here because the market is saying that. People are just paying more for no reason. More than 2 million households will pay between 200 and 500 per month. It's nuts. Where are people supposed to get this money from? But let's also don't forget, the Bank of England said don't ask for a pay rise. Don't ask for a pay rise, because you're going to be fueling inflation. We need to bring the money for workers down. You'll be the one fueling inflation at that point. It's just nuts. And to top it off, these interest rate rises aren't included in the CPI. things like rent and mortgages aren't included in the consumer price index that we use to calculate inflation. Generally, when the media and the Bank of England talk about inflation, they don't talk about the retail price index, which is RPI, which is the thing Fact Not Fiction is obsessed with. Dude loves the RPI. The Bank of England and a lot of the media talk about CPI, which doesn't take into account mortgages or rents. So despite the fact that your mortgages will be going up, your rents are going to be going up, the Bank of England won't reflect that. And, the idiots at the Bank of England, what they're doing is they're fueling inflation more by raising interest rates, raising the costs for businesses. It's just absolute malarkey what is going on. I cannot believe that this country is run by the biggest dodo brains that I've seen for a long time now. And I'm not just talking about the central government here. I'm talking about the lot of them. Apart from the courts, it looks like every institution is just failing. The different agencies we have, like the EPA, they're failing. It's just across the board. Everything is just rotten. It's nuts. And if they keep raising the interest rates, I'm surprised we're not seeing more panic in the UK, to be honest with you. I don't know, maybe when people's fixed rates end, maybe kind of end of this year, middle of next year, we'll see more panic as people's fixed rates end, or as they look to kind of get new rates or look to remortgage. Maybe we'll see more of a panic then. I genuinely, it's very quiet right now. The media do talk about interest rate rises when they happen, but after a couple of days they go on to something else, and I'm just concerned because this is pushing up people's cost of living. The most expensive things I think generally you'll pay for are your energy bills, your food bills, and your accommodation, be it your rent or your mortgage. And it's just going up and up and up. These interest rate rises will push the other two, I think, potentially up as well. And as I said, I'm just very concerned by this all. I don't know what to make of it. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can. And yeah, it must be nice having lower inflation in the Eurozone. And I'll catch you in the next one.